Hello, my Myo best friends. You know we are here to hit you with some realness, and there is nothing that can be more frustrating than doing a myofunctional therapy session and feeling like, what? I don't know what went wrong here, but this person's not coming back. Something's not clicking in, and this has been a big waste of time. I'm not even sure if they've gotten their value for the money. Well, as a myofunctional therapist who is also a very proud lecturer and educator in this space, let me tell you that I have seen through my practice the Myo Spot thousands of people. I didn't even know it was thousands until I went through and I really saw that there's like pages and pages, over 700 pages in my electronic health records of people who I have seen and worked with. I've run over 1,000 sessions. I have witnessed so many as an educator with MyoPathway. We do on-site mentorship. So I've watched a lot of myofunctional therapy sessions and there's a lot going wrong, but you are able to fix it. You can amplify your sessions. You can make it seem more valuable. You can get more out of it yourself, just personally, internally, if you just avoid some very key mistakes. So, before we get into it, let me just introduce myself and welcome you all because, hello, we need to get there. My name is Carice. I am a myo best friend for everyone who's ever been interested in doing myofunctional therapy and or is practicing myofunctional therapy. I've been in this space for 8 years now and teaching in it for well over five, and I am obsessed with excellence. And so if you're about what I'm about, I'm happy to have you here. Over 70 hours of content exists on this channel. So make sure that you are subscribed and that you are a part of our network in order to be able to see and to know what's going on. All right. I don't know if you can hear me. Hold on. Let me look at the comments real quick. And the comments aren't even coming up. That's weird. Oh, there we go. All right. I see you guys. Okay. Let's dive in. My slides are stuck. There we go. Welcome. We're going to keep this going. Okay. Disregard this little faux pas here of technology. What does a myo session involve is probably what you're thinking. When I'm talking about myofunctional therapy sessions, it doesn't have to just be your routine session. I don't want anybody to forget that there's a whole lot that goes on outside of just doing a myofunctional therapy session. We see people for a number of things and for a lot of different reasons. So, one of those reasons could be your very first meeting with them, a consultation. That's a myo session in some way, shape, or form because you're introducing, you're educating, they're getting a rapport with you. Like any time essentially that you're with a client is a myofunctional therapy session. So be that your consultation, be that your evaluation. Your evaluation, you're going to spend a lot of time with them. Some people are spending upwards of 2 and 3 hours with people during that time. You want to maximize your time, maximize the value, ensure that you are giving the absolute best education during all of that and collecting all the data that you need. So we have to maximize those sessions, right? Our routine sessions where you're meeting them weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, whatever the frequency is. Each of those is a myo session. When you start to think about it, you're like, wow, we have a lot of client interactions. We are seeing them again and again and again. And it is something where if you're not optimized, by the time you really go back and you fix that system, well, now you're in a space where they're already a little lost in what's going on. They're already maybe dropping off, and you're like, wow, I don't know why I can't finish or why some people quit midway. Sometimes there's those inefficiencies in your systems within your sessions that might be impacting your graduation rate or your completion rate for your clients. And then there's the check ins. Like the frequency of which you're doing the check-ins. Are you doing check-ins, or do people just graduate and then you never see them again? We don't want that, right? We want to make sure we're seeing them again and checking in and making sure that they've retained some of it. So what we're going to focus on is really a lot of sessions as a global term for any of these sort of meetings that you might have with a client. Now, as I have been doing myofunctional therapy as a mentor, and going and watching and observing sessions for people who are new grads and people who are, really fresh into doing this, I've noticed a lot of similar themes. And I've noticed things that, like, I personally had to overcome and refine. And so, why not talk about it? Because if we can't level up together, what is the point? I'm tired of the gatekeeping in the myofunctional therapy world. It is not the way that we're going to be doing things here in this space. And so let's start counting down the 5 mistakes I need you to avoid with your myofunctional therapy sessions. That way we can get you to be more efficient, more productive, and really just feeling more confident. So, number 5 is really forgetting that this is their first time, no matter what point you are in. If you are in the point where you're meeting them for a consult or an evaluation or a routine session, for most of the people, and it's not going to be every time. Sometimes there are going to be people who it's not their first time. They've been seeing somebody, or they've been seeing you, they've been seeing you because they've seen somebody else, and now they're looking to either work with somebody who has a different temperament, or they're looking for different outcomes or results because you do different work outside of myofunctional therapy that maybe they wanted to work with and get a different dynamic approach. If we put down that maybe 5% of clientele that you'll see, most people, it's their very first time sitting across from someone, doing some of these myofunctional therapy exercises, hearing some of the language, learning about their dysfunction, understanding how everything's coming together. This is the very first time that that's happening for them. Now, this is something that's happening for you frequently, over and over and over. If you practice full time like I do, that's all you're doing, is explaining to people these things. Some people are online and they're getting information from social media, which is like a hit or miss in a lot of different instances. But they're getting information. And so you have to now be the filter of said information. What's correct? What's personal to them? All of this stuff has to happen in a way where you're aware of. Keep that at the forefront of your mind. This is the first time that they're really hearing stuff and information that is for them. It's also the first time that they're correcting some of these dysfunctions. So when we're talking about the dysfunction, we need it to be something that we're very empathetic with, and you're patient and you're kind and you're flowing and you're like, okay, it's all right. If it was coming easy to you, you wouldn't need me. Like, if you could do all these things, you wouldn't need me. We wouldn't need to be working together. So I'm here to guide you through it and to help you each step of the way. So when you're acknowledging that it's their first time, you don't have to actually like verbalize it, but it's just allowing some grace. You're going to go slower in every single demonstration. You're going to speak more simply. Don't feel like you have to demonstrate or prove your worth or your value as a myofunctional therapist, particularly as their myofunctional therapist, to say that, yes, this is a complex compensatory network that is not allowing your inferior no, it's not allowing your transverse muscle to activate in a way that the uh, other muscles are working together with it. I don't know. I don't explain anything in some complex set of words with most people that I'm working with. And so it's very hard for me to come up with an example for that. But you want to talk to everybody like they're a child, even when they're an adult. And that's not to say cutesy baby voices and like make it super like this. It's to say that you want to work with them and speak in a terms that they 100% over the board, across the board, no matter how old they are, no matter when, if they dropped out of high school, if they dropped out of middle school, if they've never even been to school, they would be able to understand what you're talking about. Listen, your tongue is getting fatigued. I can see the fatigue. It's super tired. It is not wanting to cooperate in this moment. We're just going to push through a little bit. We're going to push through a little bit. We'll give it a little break, drink some water. Let's be mindful and do a little breathing. Let's get on our vibration plate. Let's do something else for a moment and we'll come back to that. Your tongue's a little tired. It's just like if I'm in the gym with you and it's leg day and you've had a lot of leg exercises and you feel like your legs are on fire and I want to push you through to do more. It's not nice. Okay. It's just really not nice. So we want to make sure that we're providing a level of grace. We're taking a step back and you're able to assess the situation. You always need to be assessing. It's their very first time doing it. What's going on? How can we explain things to them? How can we provide a little more grace period in between to allow them to recover, to acknowledge that this is something that is difficult or challenging, and then from there, move forward. So, this is their first time with an experience. You are very experienced. Remember what it was like for you when you were in your course and you were learning how to do some of these exercises, when you were learning how everything comes together and how many times you had to reinforce it for yourself, or what simple explanations to remember and retain this information you needed, and put that forward for them. So you're going to make sure that you're just taking that next step, that next level, and that next step of care and precaution with the people that you're working with. Number 4, and these are in no particular order, although I do think one is probably like a big one. But number 4 is definitely going to be an inflexibility that makes things more frustrating because troubleshooting is an essential factor. You cannot be inflexible. There's so many things that go wrong. As much as I like to talk about treatment planning, and I will sit down so many times, time after time, I've sat down with mentees in their office, or they've come and they sat down in my office, and we plan out the treatment plan. I keep telling them, you might have this 4 or 5 visits planned out and feel like this is going to be the plan. We're going to do such and such exercises. We're going into these activities. We're doing this, that, and that. 95% of the time, it's not going to work out the way that you planned. You have to be prepared to troubleshoot or for something to go wrong, because more often than not, it does. There's a lot of times where they might not be able to achieve a particular skill set, or sometimes you might be pushing and working at that for some time. You need to have a number of ways to get to the same goal. So if you're treatment planning and you want to work on elevation of the tongue or just definition of the tongue tip, and that's your goal for that session. That's what you want. You need to have a number of ways to get there. If you're planning for them to practice 1 or 2 exercises that are going to help define the tongue tip or help them to elevate the tongue, and you're planning for those 2 exercises, you need to have 5 different ways of getting there. You need to have multiple descriptions. You need to have tools and resources ready and on hand just in case we can't get there. So let's say it's elevation. A lot of you don't keep certain tools in your office or don't travel with them if you're mobile like me. And those things could be helpful to you, such as cotton tipped applicators. Like, there's not enough people that are walking around with those that do mobile therapy, or so many times I've had to tell people to like buy those. Really great for giving some tactile perception. That cotton, very, very stimulating. So you can give some tactile perception. If I want your tongue to go up and you're struggling with what the perception is of up, even when you're looking and you're like, my tongue, it just won't do what I want it to do, and they're struggling, well, okay, maybe we need to get some of that stimulation on the tongue and we need to get stimulation on the roof of the mouth. There's a number of ways we could be stimulating the tongue. People keep toothbrushes on hand. People keep cutlery and utensils, particularly if you've worked with me and you've done any of my coursework, you know what you're doing with those utensils. But proprioception is a big thing. And if you haven't started out your programs, a lot of times I tell people to start out with that. But if you haven't started it out with some type of proprioception and they're struggling, well, then you need to be ready to troubleshoot for proprioception. You need to have tips, tools, tricks, and abilities to pivot on a dime. Like, you've got a small window of time with this person. If they're struggling with a task, you can keep struggling with it and keep pushing, 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 and frustrate them and lead them to a point where now, they probably don't want to do this anymore, or they don't want to invest anymore in it. Or you could be skilled enough to know, okay, I'm planning for elevation. If we don't get it, there's this we can do, this we can do, this we can do. And if they do get it and they excel at it, awesome. Here's what I want as their next step, because I wasn't anticipating for them to have been maybe perhaps at home practicing this, working on it since the evaluation where they knew that it was a deficit. They've been practicing, working, 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 and they're like, oh, I finally figured out how to get my tongue up, and I'm so excited to tell you. Well, great. That was something you had already planned to work on. What was your next step after that? Are you prepared to pivot, to make a change that is going to enable your session to still flow smoothly? So prepare for the unexpected, I guess, would be this, but you have to be flexible. You can't be inflexible. You can't be like, ooh, I don't know what to do next. And most times people aren't actually saying that they don't know what to do next. They just keep pushing at the same thing. Or you'll see that they're doing that thing really well because they've been practicing it, and you're a little flustered and you don't know where to go. And so you just kind of make up something on the fly. And I've caught so many people making up stuff on the fly, and I love it. I just think it's just so interesting, and it's very cute, as a more experienced therapist, to watch other therapists, just kind of make up stuff and they flow so easily through it, and I love it. But I need you to be able to be confident that if everything doesn't go the way that you want it to go, that you're prepared. So whatever your expectations were, make sure you're amplifying that by a little bit. You're prepared if it doesn't go the way you want it to go, and you're prepared if you can take it to the next level. So you've got to be flexible for troubleshooting, and you have to know how to troubleshoot. If you were not taught these things during your introductory course, you took the wrong introductory course, or you took an introductory course, which in and of itself is a problem because introductory courses are not priced like introductory courses. I'm going to get off that soapbox real quick. You need to be taking a comprehensive course, and we need to collectively, as professionals who have licenses, who are paying thousands of dollars for courses, we need to collectively ensure that when we're investing that money, that those people are actually investing back in us by enhancing their content and not leaving it at some base level where we pay thousands and we get the same level of ridiculous information that you could have gotten off of my YouTube channel. Okay. We need to be getting enhanced, better information. And if you're not, stop recommending courses to people because you're only going to set them up for failure. Just ask them to hand you money or transfer money into your bank account. Why not? That would be a better idea. All right, let's go into number three. Number three. Okay, guys. Troubleshooting, very important, right? Remembering that it's their first time, holding space, being empathetic for them, incredibly important. But what I'm going to challenge you to do now is probably even more. You can't expect them to get something down in a session by doing it one time. You have to repeat, repeat, repeat in order for things to stick. And that's a big part of number five, where we were talking about, it's their first time. It's their first time. You want to be a little bit more lenient in what your expectations are. But the rule of three is really just going to be reinforcing that this might be your first time hearing it, but it's going to take a good three times for me to really reinforce it. So I'm always going over things again and again and again. And if I've heard something and I'm trying to remember it, let's say it's a consultation. So I've heard you say that you're having issues with congestion, and some of that is creating issues with sleep and postnasal drip. Your diet is great. You don't have any issues with eating or indigestion. You don't have any issues with daytime mouth breathing. It is nighttime congestion, postnasal drip, possible bruxism, snoring, like you're struggling in that regard. I'm not going to talk to you about anything other than how myofunctional therapy might be able to help you with sleep. It has nothing to do with any of the other stuff that I might want to talk about. I might want to talk about oral rest posture, or I might want to talk about dental, like is it contributing to your cavity rate? Is it contributing to other things that could be going on, like periodontal disease? I'm not going to talk about that stuff. That's not the stuff that's important. That's not what you need to be focused on and working on and ideally going through. What we need to talk about, and I need to reinforce again and again, is how myo can help with sleep. And I need to make at least three statements that are going to link that. That way it's reinforced in your mind and we can lock this in as like a consult that moves on to an evaluation by that repetition. That rule of three is incredibly important. During the evaluation, sometimes I like to see things three times too. Like, can you give me a good shoulder shrug? A good, I don't know. And then they'll give me one. And I'm like, okay, again, awesome. And then just one more, maybe a little slower or faster. I just make it look like I want something different. But a third time, best two out of three, right? Like, what's the consistency? Give me your biggest smile, showing me as many teeth as possible, and that smile could change. They might change the way that their teeth are moving. And I'm like, no, this is what I want. I want, teeth together, biggest smile. Just show me as many teeth as possible, widest smile. So you're just retracting your lips back as far as you can. Pull those cheeks away and just big cheesy grin. Awesome. Again, all right, and then whatever, like three times. So the repetition is key even then in an evaluation. When you're in a session, like a routine session, you should be demoing the exercise three times. You should be going over it three times. I introduce it, we will do some repetitions of it. Then we'll move on to the next new thing next new skill, task, or exercise that I want us to work on. Then we might go back to that first one. Can I see you do that thing again? You remember the first thing that we did today? That one. Yes. Let's go back and do that. Can I just see two of those? Awesome. Now we're going to introduce a third new task. All right. So we've done this thing. Yes, you show me that. Awesome. You remember the second new thing that we did? Awesome. And then the third new thing that we did? Awesome. So let's do one more review just for us to know what it is for homework. For homework, we're doing do. Now, I filled up my session with productive time. There is nothing more irritating, and that's going to be a part of number two, than like the people who want to just waste time. I don't watch anybody breathe. I don't watch anybody breathe. If I do, it's for no more than like a minute, or if we're in graduation, then I'm watching them breathe for at least 10. But like, I don't watch anybody breathe. We don't have to play a game so that I can use up time and fill up time. Like, you need to work on your mindset. And that's number two. We're getting there, but we'll come back. You can fill up your time productively by just following the rule of three, by just making sure that you're reinforcing, reinforcing, reinforcing. They leave your office knowing exactly what it is they have to do for their homework. Does that mean that you don't have to send them a homework sheet or a review or write out whatever it is you typically do to leave them with a thing and a method of knowing what to do next? No, no. It just ensures that you're filling that time between when they receive that item and when they've left your office with something that's already reinforced in their head. They know what they're working on by the time they leave your practice. A lot of times, as a mobile therapist, I'm not giving them things right away. You might be doing that if you're in a traditional office. You might be printing something out before they even leave. So now they get to leave with their instructions, or they're taking video and they're doing whatever. But if I'm in their home, I can't type up a sheet and like send it off to them. So they don't get the sheet until the end of the day. The end of the day, when I'm back in the office and I'm doing the sheets for everybody I've seen that day. A lot of times, some of my sheets are coming after 8 p.m. So if I've seen you and you were my 10 a.m., and then I've had other people in between, and then I come home and I cook dinner or I eat or whatever because I'm still a human too. And then I sit and I do my sheets, you're not getting it until later on in the day. So your second ability to practice needs to be with the reinforced information that you've already gotten during that session, because you're not getting your sheet until the way end of the day. So that's not everybody's situation, but I find it to be very successful for me. A lot of the people that I work with, we're equally vested, we're equally committed, and we meet each other at a space. And I guess let's just get into number two, which is mindset, y'all. But we meet each other at a space where we are both equally committed. So I have like a high percentage of people who start a program and finish a program because we're working together with the mindset that we are both equally vested. Okay. I have one set program fee. I do not charge per appointment. I do not charge per duration of time. It's not like this fee covers you for a year and then after that you pay me XYZ more. Like, no. If you're signing up for a program, I'm committing that we're going to get results. It doesn't matter how long it takes. We're going to work together until you get the results that you ideally want. And a lot of people will work with me for much longer than they'll work with others because they know, and that's not my goal. My goal is not to stretch out, the program for as long as it needs to be stretched out. A lot of times we're finishing on time and we're finishing within a reasonable period of time. But every now and then we get somebody who's just not satisfied, or who wants more and wants to push for more, or just is not clear as to what our limits might be for here. And we just keep working. We keep working. We keep going. And so they'll stick with me, and they'll stick with me through whatever, because we're able to really cohesively get to one, that level of empathy where I understand where they're coming from and I'm catering to them and their needs, and we're meeting those needs. I'm reinforcing everything that I'm trying to do. And I've already got this mindset that, like, I'm not going to waste your time. Please don't waste my time. And it's reciprocated all the time. We don't have to sit down and play games if games are not a part of what it is that we're supposed to do. I don't need to watch you breathe and have you demonstrate breathing for me while we play a game of Connect 4, unless that's like we're at the end of the program and I'm really trying to get towards graduation and the last thing we have is like lip seal that's not been redefined. All right, then we sit down and I might play board games. We do scavenger hunts. I have games. There are definitely times where we play. Mini Mayo, that's nothing but play. I'm having a great time with preschoolers and toddlers and whatever. But you don't have to do that with like children and adults. You don't have to have this mindset of like, I have to take up this entire 30 minutes or 40 minutes or 45 minutes or hour or however long you're dictating that appointment is supposed to be. It doesn't have to be that way. You can make your appointments and make your timeline match in a way that is appropriate for what the day entails. If I'm at somebody's house and I'm there for 40 minutes or I'm there for 15. Have we met the goals of the appointment? Yes, awesome. I don't have to fill time. It's a waste of their time. They could be doing other things in their household. Everybody leads a busy life. So I don't believe in like killing time. You've got to fix your mindset on that and on value. That's a big thing I keep hearing all the time. Like, I'm not sure. I feel like I'm charging them so much and I'm charging so much and they're not really getting the whole what. Like, no, don't do that to yourself. They are there for your expertise and your guidance, however long that takes. Your expertise and your guidance are what they're paying for, and you being able to do that efficiently and get out early. I mean, who's never appreciated that? Have you ever gone to a conference, sat down in a CE, and they finish a little early, and you're like, oh man, I paid for an hour of CE. I want to sit here the full hour. Nobody does that. A lot of us are really excited to get out on time or early and be like, yes, there's other things I can do. I'm at this conference. I want to go and like sit at the pool, or I want to go and like see the city. I don't need to be here locked into this thing because you have an hour of my time. You have to hold the whole thing. Now, none of that is to really disrespect the people who run CE, because I know that I have some friends who are probably very upset with hearing me say that. CE, especially with AGD pace, there are certain rules. You have to be there for a certain amount of time, okay? That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is just fix your mindset around the value. The value comes from getting done what it is that's supposed to be done during that session, and not from the time that you've blocked out in your calendar to do that session. Okay. Hopefully that was very clear. You'll let me know if it's not. Okay. Number one, I think this is a big one. I think this is a big one. This is why we're rounding out with number one. But they're all important. They're all really important. Okay. Number one, you can't end your sessions without clarity. The next step should always be super clear, no matter what. If we are in a graduation session, what's the next thing? Like, what's your check in sequence? If you're at a check in, do you want them to check in again? What are the signs that they should know? Like, what was the point of this whole visit? If you're not clear on what exactly is going to happen next, then you can't explain it. But that's what's going to help you most with your client follow through, is being clear, having a very clear objective. This is what we're doing. This is the next step. That way they know what to be prepared for, what to seek, why is this occurring? Okay, that's really important. So if we're at a consult and we're talking and we're discussing what's the next step, what is it that they should do as their very next thing? Should they book a call with you? Should they book an evaluation, like a secondary call with you, maybe with their spouse, with their other big decision maker? Should they book an evaluation? Is the next step for them to talk to a specific provider that you're referring them to? Is the next step for, like, what is the next step? Is the next step going to be very obvious, and it's something you still have to state even if it's obvious, like, okay, I'll see you in 2 weeks for your next appointment. During that time, be prepared. Bring like a small snack, or just be prepared, be a little hungry. We're going to start working on some chewing, or just do this, we're going to start working on this, like we're going to work on some things. And so those little inklings of like, oh, okay, there's a plan. There's a plan at play. They know what they're doing. They're getting me here strategically. I know what the next step is, and I know what to be prepared for as a client. That would be the client mindset. And I think that that is incredibly important for all of your sessions. It can't just be like, oh, it's so great to see you today, bye. Okay. Like, you got to end it with a point in mind, lock something in, even if it's just to confirm, like, we have our next appointment, same day, same time. Yes. Or whatever. You got to end it with some clarity. What's the next expectation? What is the next thing that we might be working on? Where is it that we're going? How much of this do we have left? If you're, a certain number of sessions and you've promised them will be done in like 12 or whatever, like how many are we on and how many do we have left? So you've got 6 sessions left, and next time I see you, we're working on such and such. End it with a point in mind and like really lock it in and solidify it, put a bow on the whole situation. Your sessions are really important for you to have as a touch point for each of your people to really understand a little bit more, not only about themselves, but about the program. Because I think the biggest value in myofunctional therapy is that we are continuously able to educate people to independence, to where they're not really dependent on us and what we are trying to put forward. Um, I love that we can end a myofunctional therapy program and we can get to a point where they are like, if I have all of this fall apart, I actually know what I can do to bring it back together. And so that's our biggest goal there, is to really ensure that we are keeping it as transparent as possible, the whole process. So make sure that you are very, very focused on the fact that it is their very first time doing this stuff. Have some grace with them. Don't feel obligated to use up all of their time. It is not just for you to have this time. Make sure that you are actively working on troubleshooting and knowing what to have in place. That way, when things go wrong, as they always do, you're prepared. Make sure that you are just the best provider you can show up and be in all ways. Because not only do they deserve it, you deserve it too. Okay. You are worthy of showing up and doing more and being more. And I am so honored to be your Myo best friend. And I look forward to seeing you in the very next video, where I think we're definitely going to have to touch on networking and collaboration, because I thought I touched on that more on this channel. We got over 70 hours of stuff and content that you need to go into, but like, whew, I had no idea that we didn't touch on some things about networking that we need to. So I look forward to seeing you again next time, where we are going to talk on, you see that? That's me up. It's this way, ending with clarity. You need to refine any networking. I'll see you next time for that. Bye, my Myo best friends.